Hello and welcome to a video I probably should have done a long time ago. Wanted to talk a little bit about something that I get asked all the time. Now here's the thing, I work with kids. I expect this question, the follow-ups that come with it, and the occasional inappropriateness that comes with these questions from 8, 9, 10-year-old kid, right? You're learning about the world, you've got questions. I've made it clear, hopefully, that as a staff, I'm a person that you can trust. Alright, we're chill. And if you ask something over the line, I'm going to tell you it's over the line, tell you why, and explain to you how to make that boundary for someone else. Where I don't expect these questions is adults, but they ask them anyway. And usually at times when I'm not ready for them. So today...
What, happened to you? How did you, become blind?
So as ridiculous as that sounds, again, it's a question I get a lot, and I thought it would be worth making a video on. If you're interested in other content like this, let me know what other kinds of questions you have in the comments, but let's get into it. You are supposed to be born when you are 40 weeks old. That's pretty old. I was not that old when I was born. I was only 26 weeks old. As you might be able to imagine, just on a common sense level, I was pretty small. I weighed 1 pound, 14 ounces. That's not a big baby, because I wasn't one. At the time that I was born, which was the late 90s, there was a slight issue with the incubators that they used to keep preemies like myself alive. An incubator is a small enclosed environment where there is warmth and oxygen, and it's supposed to allow a premature baby to develop healthier and stronger than they would outside of that contained and controlled environment. What happened is that they put too much oxygen into the incubator, and so the blood vessels that were behind my eyes had a lot of oxygen flowing through them because they were developing. They were very large, and in my case, too large, and they essentially burst. If you're not a fan of squeamish things, skip ahead about 30 seconds. But essentially what this led to is blood from my vessels behind my eyes getting onto and then detaching my already malformed retina. There is a thing in your brain called a retina. It essentially acts as a movie screen. So when you look at something, your eye is the projector, your retina is the screen. The analogy that I've used before is if your projector works perfectly well and your movie screen is made of a thick canvas-like material, I don't know what real movie screens are made of, but we're gonna go with that, then your image comes out very clear and the screen itself is flat and smooth and open. That enables you to have a very good field of vision, and everything that you are seeing through that field is projected perfectly onto your retina. That is not how mine works. If I were to, instead of hanging a movie screen made of canvas, if I hung a movie screen up made of tissue paper, picture the difference. There might be some light coming through in some spots, it's kind of thin, and that was just the way that my retina was because I was not fully developed at 26 weeks. And so what happened when the blood vessels behind my eyes burst is that if you took a giant bucket of water and just hurled it full force at the movie screen made of tissue paper, there was a lot of tearing. The water basically got onto the retina and tore it, put holes in it, ripped it, partially detached it on both sides of my visual field. So my left eye and my right eye are both affected. Now that is a condition which we call retinopathy of prematurity, or ROP. That is my base condition that I have had for my entire 26 years of life. And as time has progressed, as is often the case for people with ROP, I have also developed other conditions as well. The first being glaucoma. From my layman's understanding of it, is essentially pressure buildup inside of the eye. Not fun, it's rather painful, it's just not an enjoyable experience. Some people with chronic glaucoma need to take drops every day. Thankfully, I have not had to do that, but that's because I have had 2 glaucoma surgeries. Again, if you are squeamish to crazy medical things, skip ahead about 30 seconds. But essentially what happened is that they put a laser-sized hole in each of my eyeballs to act as a pressure valve, so that if there's ever buildup of pressure in my eye, that misplace of pressure has a place to go to be released. After the 2 glaucoma surgeries, the glaucoma is essentially fairly stable for me, and so I have the ROP, the retinopathy of prematurity, the glaucoma, And I also have cataracts in both eyes. Cataracts are essentially caused by an overbuildup of calcium on the lens of your eye. Essentially what it is it's just a clouding of the vision. The strange thing is, because of my field, which I'll get into in a moment, I actually don't really notice the cataracts, but you may be able to actually see them even on camera at times. I keep my eyes pretty closed a lot of the time because my field is so small that I think I have learned to like subconsciously not use all of my eye to look at things, and that brings me to the what do you see portion of this video. So what I see depends on which eye I am looking at, and I can only look out of one eye at a time. For example, if I wanted to look around my apartment, I can use my left eye to look at the lights and my TV and my plants and get a general feel for the room. It's definitely my quote-unquote better eye because I use it navigationally at times. I use it to pick out details where I can. And then my right eye, I jokingly call my signature eye because the only place I have vision is way down in a corner, and I'm pointing, but I'm also like using my finger to outline this tiny little spot. If I was going to look at the camera or look at myself to check my reflection with my right eye, I actually have to look like this. That's the only spot in that eye that I have vision. I cannot use my eyes together, which to me is an insane concept that as sighted people, you guys can do that. I have to pick. So if I'm looking out of my right eye, I cannot see out of my left eye, and if I'm looking out of my left eye, I cannot see out of my right. It's just something I think that my brain has done to allow me to focus on the small field that I have with each eye, and is just something I'm very used to. In terms of what I can see, here's the tricky part. I'm going to flip the question to you. What can you see? Because I don't know what it's like to be perfectly sighted. It's really hard for me to explain how my vision works by comparison, but I'm going to do the best that I can. So in my left eye, I have a very limited field, and the field is basically the area that you can see. Make your fingers into a circle and then shrink or grow that circle and pretend that that's all you could see. That is a somewhat of an approximation of visual field. With my left eye, I have a small field that's very central, so it's kind of in the middle. I would say if I had to outline it in front of you for the camera, it's right here. So if you're below that, down here, I can't see my hand right now. Now I can. Okay, if I'm over here, can't see anything now. If I'm up here, nothing here. And then if I come at it from this side, here. If that helps, it's just this circle right in the middle of my left eye. Now my right eye is almost comical by comparison. Now if I come from the left, here, but like up here, kind of, and then if I come from the bottom, right here, so it's all stopping. For those who can't see, I'm just kind of moving my finger to show that my right eye has a tiny little spot that I can see in. So I have to like tilt my head and usually put my head really close to something if I want to see it. If you guys have any further questions about how my vision works or what happened to me, please let me know. And there's one more thing I wanted to talk about before I end this video, and that is this. I wanted to talk a little bit about a man named Martin Arthur Cohen. And he's the man who invented incubators for premature babies like myself, and actually used them in something he called infantoriums, which were essentially exhibits so that people could view premature babies. I think a lot of people would kind of turn up their nose at the concept and think that that's very cruel, but here's the thing, I would not be here without his invention. The good news with my condition being kind of figured out, for lack of a better term, is that it doesn't really happen anymore. The amount of oxygen that it takes to keep a baby alive but not cause the bursting of the blood vessels was able to be kind of figured out. People were able to dial that oxygen level back just a little bit, because the thing is, that incubator's the reason I'm alive. If I wouldn't have had the right amount of oxygen, I would have died not long after being born. Too much oxygen and not being able to see is a small price to pay for being alive. I remember hearing a story a few years ago that someone else who had played a big role in the incubators, I think this was somebody else, took his own life because he was so upset with blinding children. To him, I would say, thank you for saving my life. I have gotten involved in certain other groups for the blind and things like that over the course of my life, and find that a lot of people who are visually impaired are very bitter. A lot of blind people are very bitter. There are things that are really hard about being blind, but I'm alive. I'm here. That means a lot, and to be able to do YouTube, to be able to talk about things, to educate people, to play video games, to play music, take care of plants, to have a good quality of life as someone with a visual impairment, I could be dead. So the alternative looks pretty amazing. Like I said, if you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to let me know. I'm, relatively speaking, a pretty open book, and I want this channel to be a place where you can learn, and maybe I can learn a thing or two as well. So thanks for watching. Again, please let me know if you have any questions, and we'll see you soon. Peace.